your 19 First Alert forecast.
And good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News coming to you from our digital desk, and I'm joined by First Alert meteorologist Erica Page. Erica, we have to remind people what is a First Alert weather day because we've got one staring at us in the face.
Yeah, so we like to issue these alert days whenever we feel like the weather may have an impact on your day-to-day schedules. And keep in mind, we're getting closer to Halloween, of course, and so we've got folks that may be trick-or-treating tomorrow, maybe trick-or-treating on Friday. And so obviously the big question is, how will weather potentially impact costumes or even just being able to get outside and really enjoy some of those activities? And tomorrow it's going to be a little bit more tough, and we've talked about it kind of relentlessly through the weekend, even early this week, that we knew Thursday was going to be the day that was going to bring us the most widespread rain across the region. But it's not just rain, and some of that could certainly be pretty heavy at times. It's also going to be the wind component, because that wind is going to be increasing as well as we bring in this next storm system. It hasn't arrived just yet, so things have been pretty quiet, beautiful here across the region today, but that will start to change as we get into essentially the later portion of this evening. I do want to zoom out, show you radar here, because things have largely not really been super eventful for us, at least here locally. But if I zoom this picture out, you're starting to see a couple of these showers developing near the I-70 corridor. So for folks in Tuscarawas County, Holmes County, Wayne, even Stark, expect that as we get into kind of this mid to late afternoon time frame, you're likely going to start to see that rain increasing in terms of coverage across the region. And we expect that to continue to be the case, basically south to north, as we progress through the rest of this afternoon and eventually get into this evening. This is all essentially kind of leading up to this alert day for tomorrow. So what Future View won't show you, of course, is the wind. Keep in mind, and we've done a whole breakdown on this on cleveland19.com. If you go to the weather section, I've broken it down pretty much time period by time period, so you can kind of expect these changes and know what to expect as the evening progresses, and of course as we get into your Thursday. But you will see that once essentially the rain starts, it's going to take some time for us to actually see any good breaks in a lot of this activity. I do think we'll see some through the day tomorrow, but remember, this is a big area of low pressure that's swinging through. You're going to be talking winds gusting at this point upwards of 35, maybe even 40 miles per hour. If you're up near the lakeshore, potentially as high as 45 miles per hour. And so it's not really going to be a very pleasant day if you have to spend time outside as we get through your Thursday. I do think midday we may catch a couple breaks from some of the rain, but I still think moisture is going to fill in on the backside of this system. And so you're still talking about evening showers tomorrow, pretty widespread. So again, if you have trick-or-treat plans coming up tomorrow evening in your town or your community, I highly suggest keeping a very close eye on the forecast, making sure you have that 19 First Alert weather app handy, because it's probably going to be pretty soggy out there.
Yeah, and we know, Erica, some communities did move to Thursday night because maybe their high school football team is playing in playoffs on Friday. Doesn't look like Friday is going to get much better, but we're going to take a quick break and get to the football / trick-or-treat forecast, and we'll be right back. '19 First Alert meteorologist Erica Page and I are back. Erica, nothing made me more upset as a kid. Here you go, you've got this great costume, and mom hands you a stupid coat that you have to put over your costume. That was the worst.
Yeah, it was. And I remember many Halloweens as a kid growing up where we were either talking about rain and wind, of course, because that's usually what accompanies the rain this time of the year, or we were talking about snow. Thankfully, this year, it's not a snow setup, and I don't even think your entire day during Friday is actually going to be a washout. I actually think we're going to have a pretty decent dry period starting Friday morning and likely lasting through about early to mid-afternoon. But you are going to start to see some late day lake effect rain showers that start to develop mid to late afternoon, lasting through the evening. And so that will, in at least some communities, have an impact on trick-or-treating. Here's your future view, and this is what I mean by there is going to be a break. You'll notice basically starting Friday morning, there may even be some peaks of sunshine. But what you don't see is the atmosphere essentially building in moisture that we're getting some help from Lake Michigan for, and that eventually arrives in Northeast Ohio as we get through the afternoon. So here you start to see a couple more of those scattered showers building in, and that's eventually going to be more of the scattered activity that we deal with, not only through Friday evening, but likely stepping into the early part of this weekend as well. So we're going to at least keep the mention of rain around for Saturday as well as Sunday. We haven't issued alert days for any of those days, but do keep in mind that as we kind of get through Thursday, you add in any additional lake effect showers, there could be some spots that by the end of the day on Sunday, they could easily see upwards of 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches of rain. So I've been urging folks to do this. Check your storm drains that are maybe on your street or in the low-lying areas that may have collected some of those leaves over the last couple of days. Make sure those are cleared out because you really want to make sure this water can get into those storm drains as efficiently as possible so that we can limit, to the best of our ability, any flooding potential that we could have to wrap up this week, get into the early part of this next week. There are some signals. We may have another quick disturbance that comes through on Monday, but right now, Election Day, looking dry, windy, and a little bit cooler as we step into the early part of November.
There's a lot going on that 7-day. We've got the first alert flashing red day Thursday, Halloween. We turn our clocks back. We've got an election day.
Yeah.
You know what I don't see on there? Snowflakes.
Not yet. Nope. I think we're going to stay warmer, and it really, by the middle part of this next week, it does look like we actually try to improve that temperature a little bit. So snow mentions, which I'm very happy about, are going to be on the table for at least a little bit longer. We just have to deal with the cold rain, I guess, instead.
It is hard to believe that we are back to that time of year where you snap your finger and there could be snow on that forecast.
Yeah.
19 First Alert meteorologist Erica Page, thanks for joining us. We'll see you at 3 o'clock.
Sounds good.
All
See you
right,
then.
take care. We do have 3.5 hours of news and First Alert weather coming up 3 o'clock on Channel 19, so make sure you tune in there. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. You have a good afternoon and try to stay dry.